Save the semantics. Oh, what the hell was that? That was a fucking terrible start. Save the semantics. Episode 65. It is March 15, 2019. My name is Myro. This is the podcast where I don't really talk about anything important. I just kind of talk about myself and things that interest me, things that have been occupying my mind, and so forth. Nearing the end of my second, how do I say it? My spring quarter, no, my winter quarter of my third year of college. I don't know why it's so hard for me to talk right now. I think I'm just tired. I had a show earlier this morning. Covered a little bit of Bushwhackers this morning. It went well. It had a really good show. I played a lot of great music. I think it's definitely one of the better shows that I had, for sure. Just in terms of like the quality of music that I had and whatnot. And it was just a nice little change of pace from from school and stuff like that. So I did enjoy that. The only issue is that I guess it's a little detrimental in terms of me staying awake and whatnot. I drank a shit ton of coffee, or at least I thought I did, because I was just pissing like crazy. Went to the bathroom like 5 times in like just a couple hours. It's ridiculous what coffee does to you, you know. I just wish, like, I don't necessarily think I've built like a dependency on coffee by any means, because I don't feel like I have to drink coffee, although I might be lying to myself when I say that. I think it's just more like I've sort of, it's just part of the routine, it's just like it's coffee in the morning, so I drink it, so it's just sort of, it's just kind of second nature to me, which kind of sounds like I've built a dependence on it. But no, I swear I can stop any time. It's not really like a caffeine addiction. It's really just routine. It's just something that I drink every day. It's part of how I get through the day, essentially. Yeah, I did the show this morning. I've just kind of been doing other stuff throughout the day. I've just been trying to get things done. Just prepare myself for finals week next week, and then just a little bit of a break, spring break, 1 week. Not entirely sure I'm going to manage my time there, but hopefully it'll be enough of a break for me so that I can feel rested going into next quarter, because next quarter is going to be pretty rough. I'm anticipating it to be more rough than it is this quarter, just in terms of the difficulty of the classes and my schedule. I got sort of like a new position, new work related things, so I just sort of have to prepare for that for sure. But other than that, I'd say just kind of the same old. Haven't really had the time to watch or do anything, to be honest, so not a whole lot in terms of updating there. I did kind of want to pose a question, though, like, like the earworm effect, right? Like if you hear a song and it's catchy or something, and it's addictive, and it's repetitive, and it kind of gets stuck in your head, that kind of thing. I've sort of, like, today at least, and I feel like that's sort of been the case for me yesterday as well, but I've had Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here just stuck in my head for some reason. I don't know why. Like, I've heard the song before. Like, I've heard the song plenty of times. It's a pretty famous song. I just don't know why all of a sudden it's just, like, kind of been just running through my head, It's just like, the how it starts off with the, guitar, and then I feel like that's just sort of been my attitude, if that makes any sense. Like, my attitude has just been kind of that song. I'm not even talking in terms of like the lyrics or anything. I think it's just sort of the mood that song embodies. It's a very melancholy song, I guess. I use that word a lot too, melancholy. but it is. It's just sort of like it's it's very different from the other types of, I don't know, I haven't really gone into Pink Floyd's discography all that much, but just, in contrast to their other, prog rock type of music, like, it's a very different type of music for sure. It's like much more, I guess, nuanced, and like, it's a very simple song for the most part, but I think that's sort of what I've been enjoying it from listening it, so much, I guess. But I haven't really, I think I just heard it, like, play over, like, a radio, I think, and I've just sort of been kind of stuck in my head, it might also just have to be, like, due to, like, the, changes in season, maybe, the, it's nice weather now, finally, after, weeks of rain, and kind of just, like, on and off rain season, and I just read news that California is officially out of the drought, whatever the hell that means. I probably should have read a little bit more in depth to that, because that kind of does pertain to my livelihood. But after, like, 7 years or something, we're finally out of the drought, which is good news. Though I don't know how long that good news will really last, because I feel like going into, like, the next cycle of, like, summer and, like, sun, we might just be hit by, like, just more dry weather, and then the drought kind of perpetuates over time. I don't know. I'm just kind of speaking from my own perspective there. But just going back to the song itself, like, I think it's a very just sort of, it just fits the mood right now. Like, it's sunny, the weather is incredibly nice. This is probably going to be, like, the nicest the weather's going to be this year, so I'm just enjoying it while I can. Like, it's like I don't know what the degrees is, but it's like 70, like upper 60s, which is perfect. It's absolutely perfect weather right now. And I will continue to talk about the weather in this podcast, so just be ready for that. But yeah, I don't know why that song has just been sort of cycling through my head. I think that's just sort of the attitude that I have right now, which is not necessarily a bad thing at all. Right now I'm trying to, like, multitask. I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing or a good thing, because I'm trying to get some stuff done, trying to do some notes for my classes while doing a podcast at the same time. You're a madman. You're crazy. I don't know. I've been drinking a lot of caffeine, though, I've noticed. Just going back to, like, listen, I swear I don't have a caffeine dependency, but I have been drinking a lot of coffee. I think it is what it is, just there's, within the library where I usually study, there's a cafe just right there. So, like, it's just, like, it's hard not for me. It's like, say, if you, what's a good, like, analogy? Like, say you're doing something, some work or something, and, like, right next to where you work, there's like, they sell crack, right? And they sell crack for, like, a relatively good price, it's not too bad, it's affordable for the most part. It's not, like, it's not the cheapest crack there is, it's not, like, but it's affordable, so you can just kind of go there and buy crack whenever you want, and then you can go back to doing work at a more efficient pace. That's sort of what, like, that's not a good analogy, but you know what I mean. If it's right there, like, you're tempted to just kind of get some coffee in your system, or some tea, or whatever it is, just to keep you going. It keeps your mind going for the most part, right? But yeah, I think I have been drinking a lot of coffee, but it's not like an unhealthy amount, I think I temper myself. I moderate how much I consume. I have a good idea of what is considered healthy and what isn't considered healthy, even though I think I haven't exactly had the best diet of late. Haven't exactly been able to work out, although I was planning to do some, like, a workout, go for a run earlier today, but I think, sometimes you just gotta focus on other things such as getting these goddamn notes done, So, it is what it is. And also, I think, I think, based on what I've heard, you can consume a decent amount of coffee without really, what is it? What's the word? Isn't coffee to an extent healthy too? As always, these are things that I can just look up, but outside of the podcast, why would, I don't do these kinds of things. I don't do the research that I do is so incredibly minimal. I have, I'd be a terrible researcher if I wasn't trying to get a degree right now. I wouldn't do any of this shit, right? I wouldn't be trying to learn all these things. And I'm really learning things only pertaining to my major. Of course, there's things that my nose almost flew away there. I don't know why I decided to study out here in the wind, but if I wasn't studying for a degree, then I wouldn't be learning these things, because I just wouldn't put my mind to task, right? I think that's one of the things that, and I've talked about this before, how sort of what life would be after, education and whatnot, but I think that I just have to sort of anticipate myself learning new things, without the pressure of going to class, the pressure of studying, the pressures of examinations and whatnot. I have to sort of, because I think it's important to keep learning, I'm not trying to get all whatever, although I probably am. That's just who I am. But I think I just sort of have to prepare myself to maybe push myself to learn new things, outside of whatever academia that I'm currently in, because I feel like once I occupy work, depending on whatever it is that I do right now, I'm trying to learn accounting, so I'm probably going to continue to learn accounting and stuff like that. But outside of that field of work, am I going to try to learn some new skills, learn history and stuff like that? I hopefully I can still be sort of have those kinds of endeavors where I can seek new learning opportunities, even despite if I'm not in school and whatnot, so hopefully I'm able to do that, I guess, because I think there's plenty of things out there where I can just be yeah, of course I can learn these things. There's all these free resources that I could use for my advantage, but that's really depends on whether if I actually want to do that or not, right? And how beneficial that would be for me. So yeah, I think that's something to keep in mind, I guess, moving forward. I forgot what else I wanted to talk about. There was this one article that kind of caught my eye. I don't know, did I talk about this earlier? I may have. I'm not entirely sure. I feel like I have already. I remember last episode I was talking. What the hell did I talk about? Give me 1 second. Okay, so I just went back to an older episode. I don't usually do that, because I just kind of like to go through with it one take, but, yeah, last episode I just kind of rambled on. I mean, that's every episode, but I was just sort of rambling on about psychology, shit that I don't know, so I didn't talk about this, but earlier this week, I found this article talking about, and I wish I could pull it up right now. I probably could. I'm kind of in an area where there's no Wi-Fi or no no service, so I'm not entirely sure if I can really get the internet. But there was an article that I read that was talking about the anxiety economy, and I've talked a little bit about anxiety on the podcast, so I think this will be kind of interesting to sort of further go into. But essentially, the article was written by The Guardian, which is I think UK-based online news outlet, and they wrote an article about the anxiety economy and how there's all these new like health and stress relieving products that have just kind of been appearing out of nowhere because like, anxiety has just been such a kind of like a big, thrust as of lately. You could look at music, you could look at all these sort of online personalities that are talking about mental health and stuff like that. So these companies are essentially trying to take advantage of the fact that anxiety and like mental health is just like a hot topic right now. So they're trying to sell all these like essential oil products and all this other shit, stress balls, stress relievers. And the article also sort of made a correlation between like how there was that was a pretty big phenomenon of like fidget spinners, right? Being that hot toy back in 2017, I think. I don't remember when that like fidget spinners were like a huge thing. Everyone had them. There was all these. It was like a huge craze with them, and they were talking about how like fidget spinners were sort of like it was a contrast from us consuming like the internet because it was just sort of an object, right? And we were just sort of attached to it. It was a spinning, kind of thing, spinning top that wasn't really a top, and it helped people kind of, take their focus away from the stresses of things that are going on online and in their daily lives. And that was sort of the fidget spinner was sort of made equivalent in the article. They made it equivalent to like a stress ball. They squeeze the ball, and you sort of relieve your tension in a way. And this fidget spinner does kind of like a similar thing. And the article also talked about how like the stress ball. For those who don't know this, like a stress ball is like the. Do you know there's like these squishy balls that people have to squeeze, like if they have it next to their desk, so like if they're stressed out about work or some shit, you can just kind of grab it and squeeze the hell out of it. So it was basically like they talked about the history of it, and it was invented by this one dude who he threw, I think he was like frustrated at work or something, and he threw like a ball or something against the wall, and then he just kind of came up with the idea, and instead of like it used to be like you throw the ball, you throw like a relatively like harmless object against something so it doesn't cause that much damage, so like a foam ball or something, and then it kind of transitioned into squeezing the ball to relieve stress or whatever, so I thought that was kind of interesting. Just wanted to make note of that. And just going into like sort of the other like aspects of this sort of anxiety economy that this article talked about, but it was just sort of interesting, like how there's sort of like I sort of kind of saw there was like this relation between like these health products that like skincare routines and stuff like that. I think there's genuinely some there's some genuine like products that can improve your sort of mental well-being, I guess. But a lot of these like skin oil products don't necessarily like, they don't cure anything. These are like alternative medicines, right? Equivalent to like Eastern medicine and stuff like that. I don't want to talk shit about Eastern medicine because I don't know anything about that, and I don't want to make assumptions about like medication in general because I'm not a practitioner. I'm not studying to become a doctor or anything like that. But a lot of these like medicines, oils or whatever, they're not approved by like a government entity and whatnot. They haven't been shown, studies haven't shown that these have proven to be effective in like preventing or even curing a disease or like a health condition and whatnot. So I sort of take a lot of those types of products people sell with a grain of salt because it's just been shown. I say that like they haven't done studies, but like I feel like there's just not really that much of a correlation between how these products and if it provides you to be a better better state of being. I guess I don't know. That's just sort of me. But I mean I think if you do take if you take care of yourself to some extent, like if you just sort of if you use skin care products but not like excessively. I'm sure like you'll be fine, your skin will be less dry. I use lotion, I admit that. I think people should use lotion if they feel like their skin is, super dry and whatnot, because I have like pretty oily skin, and I don't have, my acne used to be way worse back when, I was like a teenager, but now it's finally gotten a lot better, but still, like, I still sometimes get these kind of small outbreaks once in a while because I don't learn from my mistakes, and I'll eat too much chocolate or sugar or something, and that sort of, I don't know how exactly it works, but like if you eat chocolate increases the likelihood of like acne growing on you. I don't like that word. Acne growth, no, I don't like that, but you know what I mean, like it increases the chances of you getting some acne. That's what I'm gonna say. It's just not, that's not a good word to use. Growth is just, it's just gross, because it's like another live being, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think you just need to take care of yourself to an extent. You don't have to buy all these products, I mean, if it makes you feel better and if you have some expendable income, I guess, go for it. But I don't know why you do that when there's other easier ways. Drink water, I guess, right? That's always the go-to measure. Just drink a lot of water. Don't be dehydrated, right? If you have clean tap water, might as well. I mean, nowhere in the U.S. is there essentially like clean tap water, except probably by the Great Lakes. I'm sure they have some clean-ass water, nice-ass water over there. But, most places around here, and I guess in urban areas, water isn't necessarily the most clean, so get yourself a filter. I'm giving you guys some solid advice right now, so, take notes, like I'm taking notes right now for my classes. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting article to check out. Once in a while, I'll actually read something. There's good stuff out there. There's a lot of, I think I've mentioned this before, but I initially, before I went into like economics and like accounting, I wanted to become a journalist, but I decided not to do that because I kind of lost a little interest, just because I felt like there wasn't exactly like a space that I felt like I could occupy. Like, I feel that all these other journalists already had their positions down, and they knew what they were doing. Like, I didn't feel like I would necessarily contribute a whole lot to it. So yeah, I sort of transitioned into another field, I guess. But I think journalism is still it is very important. But just coming from my perspective, I think there's a lot of types of journalism that sort of aren't for the benefit of for people, But I think when it comes to the article that I just talked about, the anxiety and economy article, they provide a lot of different interesting takes on them. So I just wanted to show my appreciation to journalists that do their research, and talk about interesting things that a lot of people don't necessarily talk about, And by different, I mean, things that are contemporary, and I don't mean, I don't, I don't want to shit on anyone, but I like reading. No, I don't like reading, but Vice is the relatively well-known documentary / news organization, but man, dude, their articles are just not good. They're getting to like BuzzFeed level of like, just this clickbaity shit. They clearly occupy a certain niche group of people. I mean, they appeal to like a certain group of people. I get that, but like, it's just, they're like, most of their articles, I used to follow them on like Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, but a lot of the articles that they put out are just it's always just like, today I tried, drugs, I had, sex in a cult. It's just like, it's potentially interesting, but when you've done that article like 100 times, like, come on. Like, it makes it seem like you guys are just doing drugs for the sake of doing drugs, which is exactly what they're doing, right? my friend told me there's a thing called Jedi tripping, which is essentially when you take, I think, mushrooms, LSD, and what's the other thing? MDMA. It's like three relatively three like psychedelic drugs, and like there's there was this Vice article that was just talking about it. I'm like, I don't like who does this benefit? I mean, in a way, it does benefit me because like it's just a funny thing, but I mean, it's just I don't know. I think it's not beneficial, I guess. But you could argue that it is for like just for the sake of me being able to tell you that Vice articles are trash in a way. So I don't know. I don't know what my point is. I just wanted to make mention of Vice for some reason. I don't know why. I don't exactly know why. I think I just felt like bitching. Just had a train of thought talking about journalism and stuff like that. There's plenty of great journalism out there. I just think Vice just needs to work on their shit, I guess. That's all I wanted to say. How much time we in? I think I had a significant amount of time. I had to split this up into 2 sections, so yeah, don't exactly have that much else to talk about. I'm just going to continue to do some work before I pass out. So yeah, that's probably going to do it for the podcast today. Thanks for tuning in. Just be posting on a relatively regular basis to the best of my abilities. This has been Save the Semantics, signing off.